Plus, guidelines on how to address the chronic shortage of affordable housing in the most populous metros in South Africa have been released in a new report titled Releasing Municipal Land for Affordable Housing. Now, this report was officially released in Cape Town. The report documents experiences of Cape Town, eThekwini, Johannesburg and Tshwane, shedding some light on the complexities of releasing municipal land for affordable housing in key urban areas. It aims to address the scarcity of affordable housing in South Africa's well-located regions. Various organizations, including Development Action Group, the Human Sciences Research Council and the National Association of Social Housing Organizations, work together to produce this report. Now, distinguished research fellow in the Equitable Education and Economies at the Human Sciences Research Council, Professor Ivan Turok, joins us to expand on some of these elements. A very good evening to you. Thank you for your time, Professor. South Africa's housing sector is facing systemic struggles, compromising the sector's ability to deliver new units at the pace and scale needed. What are some of the many complexities which come with the release of municipal land for affordable housing in key urban areas as set out in this report?
Thanks very much, Paul. One of the massive challenges is the red tape, the regulations surrounding the way in which land can be released for affordable housing. So we have very complex legislation which requires all kinds of things of municipalities in terms of internal procedures and external consultation. And this delays the process and often leads to land simply not being released at all. So we're looking at ways of streamlining these legal procedures to make it more efficient to release land. That's one major issue. With
the red tape being central, I suppose, to some of the challenges and complexities, how much does the report then scrutinize the current funding model? Because we know it doesn't meet the needs of social housing providers who want to build many more units, but of course face a difficult operating environment.
Yes, indeed. So finance is the second big obstacle. Social housing is a poor cousin of the RDP VNG program, and only gets between 2 and 3% of all the housing resources. So this is very good quality stock that's being built in well-located areas, accessible to jobs and amenities, and therefore we think that government should give more priority to social rented housing and skew more of the budget in this direction, because the quality of the stock, the location of the facilities are really what people are looking for.
How much of the planning and release of land would you say seeks to address the problem of apartheid spatial planning? Because it looks like, certainly in the recent years, that this mandate to build social housing in well-located areas is falling short of its ideal.
Yes, we've inherited a commitment to large-scale delivery of free housing. And by and large, this has been on the periphery of the city, far from jobs and amenities, costing people in terms of time and resources to commute to work. But social housing offers, in principle, it offers the possibility of being located on infill sites within urban areas rather than on the outskirts. But because it's infill land, it's more complicated to deliver than on greenfield sites. And this is where the red tape, where the financial complexities, where the lack of experience in organizing development comes in. But municipalities are beginning to deliver, and there is a positive story here of the metros in particular demonstrating what's possible through some very good practical examples. And we're trying to encapsulate the learning from these examples so that we can scale up and show the rest of government what it might do with all the surplus land that it sits on at the moment and is doing nothing with.
Yeah. Who exactly are we speaking of here when we look at the demographics, Professor? Who is the municipality failing the most?
Well, it's the demographic, the targeting of social housing is basically poor working people. People who've got managed to get a job but are struggling to get ahead, are spending a lot of money on traveling. And so it's this group, the kind of upwardly mobile working class, that really deserves some support because they don't qualify for free housing, but they are struggling to accommodate the in-work and to meet the costs of commuting. And so this whole program is designed to give people a step up, to promote mobility, to promote progression in the labor market through well-located housing.
What was found to be the common thread across the various municipalities as you tried to perhaps get a better sense and more clarity around some of the red tape and how it can be navigated?
The common threads are essentially fourfold. The first is an understanding of the procedure. How does one go about making land available? Because you can't just put it on the market. You have to prepare land, you have to undertake feasibility studies and so on. So a basic knowledge of development. Secondly, political will is often not what it might be to support this process. We need political leaders to stand up to NIMBYism, to opposition from surrounding neighbors who don't want social housing. We need capabilities within the municipality to enable it to happen, systems and procedures which avoid getting bogged down in red tape. And then we also need the finances, as we've mentioned, to facilitate this process. When you get those ducks lined up, you get really good delivery.
Yeah. Where have we seen good delivery so far? I mean, the backlog is really high, but in terms of progress, where have we seen the good examples?
We've seen examples in actually in all the cities. They can point you to particular projects that have been really successful. But in recent years, it's actually Cape Town that stands out in terms of actually trying to scale up this activity and ensure there is a pipeline of land so that we can have a sequence of projects and not just one-off examples.
And what are some of the recommendations that come with this report?
We recommend three things, essentially. Municipalities need to put in place systems that enable a frequent release of land. So it's not just dependent on individual officials or individual sites, but there's a whole process that lines up a conveyor belt, if you like, of sites at different stages of release so that the market can anticipate land coming available and can gear up to develop. Secondly, we need technical capabilities within municipalities, people who know what they're doing, who've got the skills in development and in financing. And then thirdly, we also need some reforms of various regulations to make it simpler and quicker to develop affordable housing in our cities.
Very well. Thank you so much for breaking this down for us. Distinguished Research Fellow in the Equitable Education and Economies at the Human Sciences Research Council, Professor Ivan Turok, giving us that breakdown.